Melody's diner wasn't fancy. It sat on the corner of Maple and Ninth, where the city's rhythm slowed just enough for coffee to feel sacred and regulars to feel like family. Sophie had worked there for almost 5 years, pouring coffee with a smile and learning everyone's usual. But no one had ever puzzled her like the girl in booth 6. She showed up one rainy Monday morning, tiny, no more than 7 or 8, wearing a too big coat and dragging a backpack that looked heavier than she did. No adult with her. Just walked in, sat quietly in booth 6 by the window, and opened a picture book. "Can I help you, sweetie?" Sophie had asked gently. The girl didn't speak. She just pointed at the pancake special and nodded. Sophie brought her pancakes, no syrup, and watched her eat in silence, each bite slow and careful. When the check came, the girl placed a crumpled $5 bill on the table, but Sophie tucked it back into her coat pocket when she wasn't looking. And that became the routine. Every day at 8 a.m., she returned. Same booth. Same order. Same quiet. Sophie began adding little extras, whipped cream smiley faces, napkin animals, warm cocoa on colder mornings. The girl never said much, but she began to smile. Sometimes Sophie caught her humming softly as she flipped through her book. No one came with her. No one picked her up. Sophie asked around, but no one knew anything. Still, she never called anyone. She didn't want to scare her off. She just watched over her. Booth 6 wasn't just a table anymore. It had become a safe place, for a quiet girl with tired eyes and a waitress with a heart too big for her apron pocket. Sophie never asked the girl too many questions. It felt like asking might break whatever fragile peace the little one had found in booth 6. Instead, she let her actions speak, just like Lily did. It was Tuesday when Sophie finally learned her name. She had made the pancakes into a bear that morning, 2 blueberries for eyes and a strawberry tongue poking out playfully. When she placed the plate down, the girl giggled softly, a small, bright sound that lit up Sophie's whole morning. "You've got a beautiful laugh," Sophie said warmly. "I'm Sophie, by the way." The girl hesitated, then whispered, "Lily." Just one word. But to Sophie, it was everything. From that day on, their unspoken bond grew. Sophie would leave little surprises, stickers tucked under the plate, tiny folded paper cranes, or silly jokes written on napkins in crayon. And Lily would respond in her own quiet ways, a shy smile, a thumbs up, or once, a little drawing of pancakes with a heart over them. Then one morning, as Sophie cleared the dishes, Lily slid something across the table. It was a small, folded note, creased and careful. Sophie opened it. In shaky pencil lines, it read, "Thank you for being my friend." Sophie stood there frozen, heart swelling, eyes burning. She knelt down beside the booth. "You don't have to thank me, Lily. You made this place brighter." Lily didn't reply. She just nodded and gave Sophie the tiniest hug. It lasted only a second, but Sophie held on to it like it was a gift. Because she knew now, this wasn't just about pancakes or a warm booth. It was about being seen. And for Lily, Sophie had become the one constant in a world full of silence and shadows. That afternoon, the diner buzzed with its usual lull, late lunch orders, clinking silverware, and the soft hiss of the kitchen fryer. Sophie was wiping down counter stools when the front door opened with an unexpected intensity. A gust of air swept in, followed by a tall man in a sharply tailored suit. His polished shoes clicked against the floor, flanked by 2 large, stone-faced bodyguards in black. Conversation dropped. Forks paused mid-air. Sophie looked up, and froze. The man's eyes scanned the room with the focus of someone used to being in control. Cold, precise. Intimidating. But beneath the surface, there was something else, panic. Worry. "Where's my daughter?" he asked aloud, voice deep and commanding, echoing through the diner. Everyone turned toward booth 6. Lily stood up. She didn't run or hide. She simply walked across the room and wrapped her small arms around the man's leg. His posture shifted instantly, shoulders dropping, arms falling to his sides like armor being removed. He knelt quickly, gathering her into his arms, holding her tightly. One hand cupped the back of her head as though he feared she might disappear. "I've been looking everywhere for you," he whispered, voice breaking. "Thank God." The bodyguards quietly stepped back, clearly relieved. Sophie, still behind the counter, watched with her heart thudding in her chest. This man, so powerful, so composed, was unraveling right in front of her. He looked up at Sophie. "You're the one who's been taking care of her, aren't you?" Sophie nodded slowly, not sure what to say. The man rose, still holding Lily, and walked toward her. "I don't know your name," he said, voice softer now, "but I owe you more than I can ever repay." And in that moment, Sophie realized, this wasn't the end of Lily's story. They sat together in booth 6, Lily nestled between her father and Sophie. The bodyguards had stepped outside, leaving the diner quieter, almost reverent. Lily clutched Sophie's hand, as if anchoring herself in the calm she had come to know. Her father, still in his pristine suit, looked completely out of place, yet completely undone. He took a breath. "My name is Nathan Cole. I'm the CEO of Coltech." Sophie blinked. Coltech? She knew the name. Everyone did. Billion-dollar tech empire. Headlines. Fortune covers. But here, in this booth, he was just a father, one with shadows under his eyes and regret in his voice. "My wife passed away 2 years ago," he continued. "Since then, I buried myself in work. I thought I was doing the right thing, building a future for Lily, giving her everything she could ever need." He glanced down at Lily, who leaned against him quietly. "I hired nannies, tutors, private chefs. But I wasn't there. Not really. And last week, after a fight with her caretaker, Lily ran away." His voice cracked. "I had no idea where she'd gone. Until today." Sophie's heart ached. She never said much. "But, she seemed okay here. I just wanted her to have a safe space." "You gave her more than that," Nathan said, his eyes glassy. "You gave her kindness. Attention. You made her feel seen." Lily looked up at Sophie and whispered, "She made me feel like Mommy was still around." The silence that followed said everything words couldn't. Nathan reached into his coat pocket, pulling out a card. "Anything you need. Anything. You just say the word." Sophie shook her head, smiling softly. "Just take care of her. That's all I need." And Nathan realized, money could build companies. But it was love that built connection. And he had nearly missed the most important one of all. The seasons turned, and Melody's diner moved with them, spring tulips in mason jars, summer lemonade specials, fall leaves taped to the windows. But booth 6 stayed the same. So did the tradition. Every Saturday morning, like clockwork, Lily returned, not alone, but with her father, Nathan, in tow. Gone were the bodyguards and the rushed phone calls. He came in jeans now, sometimes with flour on his shirt from Lily's baking lessons. And always, with time for pancakes. Sophie would greet them with her familiar grin. Booth 6. Of course, Lily beamed. They'd sit together, Nathan on one side, Lily in the middle, Sophie sliding in with her own mug of coffee when her shift allowed. What once was a table for one had become something entirely new, a table for healing, for laughter, for second chances. One morning, Lily presented Sophie with a hand-drawn picture. It showed the three of them sitting in booth 6, pancakes stacked high, hearts floating above their heads. On the bottom, in neat block letters, it read, "Family isn't who you're born to. It's who sits beside you." Sophie blinked back tears. "You made this?" Lily nodded proudly. Nathan smiled and reached across the table, taking Sophie's hand. I used to think success was measured by numbers, he said. But then you showed me something else. You gave my daughter her smile back. And you reminded me how to be her dad. Customers smiled as they passed, not realizing they were witnessing something rare and real. Not just a reunion. A redemption. Because in one little diner, at one small booth, 3 lives had changed forever. And every time that bell over the door rang and they sat down together, the message was clear. Love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it simply shows up.